everyone, I'm here out in the wild today enjoying a solid spring day in Hamilton, which I now call home and where I bought my house. Which brings me to today's topic, why Hamilton? People often ask me why I moved to Hamilton, especially because my work is in downtown Toronto, why I didn't choose the city life, is it safe, how do I manage commute, so on and so forth. Since all of this ties to house buying and my decision to buy here, I thought this is the perfect time to break it down. All of the reasons that I'm going to talk about explaining my move to Hamilton are my own personal opinions and out of my own personal experiences. What may work for me may not work for you. Let's head back to our usual spot and talk Hamilton and why I chose to buy in Hamilton. And I'm back to my usual spot to talk about Hamilton and why I chose to buy a house here in Hamilton. So I have a couple of reasons and I'm going to break them down one by one. So I'm going to start with reason number one. The first reason is obviously affordability. That is one of the primary reasons why I chose to buy a house here in Hamilton. Obviously, there are lots of beautiful cities in Ontario. There is downtown Toronto, of course, which is so beautiful and so nice and vibrant. But the house prices there are really, really expensive. You cannot think of buying a house there, which may suit your need for the next million years, unless you're like very rich and you have this generational wealth. Of course, you can afford a house in Toronto or any other cities like Oakville or Burlington or wherever you can think of. But Hamilton was one such city which was up and coming. It's still developing and it's not that popular yet. It's getting there. So buying a house here was affordable if I compared it to any other city in Ontario. Talking about another reason, or reason number two, that why I chose to move to Hamilton or buy a house here is the food here. I am a big foodie and there are so many cool places to eat in Hamilton, and there's many different types of cuisines. There you'll find good Mexican food, you'll find amazing Asian food, you'll find great Indian food. I have never had trouble finding good food in Hamilton, and this was way before I actually bought a house here and moved to Hamilton. There were so many good food places that I could not stop salivating. I haven't tried all the great food places yet, but there are so many places on my list. If you're a foodie just like me, I think you'll have a great time in Hamilton. The next thing I'm going to talk about is something which is highly underrated, especially about Hamilton. I personally feel that Hamilton is the perfect balance of the urban life and the suburban life. So you will not miss the city life or the suburban life if you live in Hamilton, because it's a good balance of both. So if some Friday night I feel wild and I want to go out for a drink or two with my friends, I can totally do so, and I'll have a lot of options when it comes to nice bars and cool places to hang out in Hamilton. But if I do not want to do that and I want to enjoy a nice nature walk or a quiet walk somewhere, or go for a hike somewhere, or just enjoy nature, then Hamilton is again a very good place to do so. So I think this balance and the perfect mix of city life versus the slow life, as we call it, is something that can be found in Hamilton, which is, I think, talking about slow life in Hamilton is a good segue to my next point that I'm about to make here, and is one of the other reasons that I moved to Hamilton, is how scenic the city is and how lovely it is to just walk around Hamilton, and you can walk for hours and you can find great sceneries. There are like great trails to walk on. You're very close to nature basically. I'm in my early 30s, so I'm not much into like going out, partying, drinking and all of that. I have done that in my 20s and I'm so over it. But in my early 30s, I like to like go on nature walks, and I like to go for long walks. I just like to put my music on, go for a nice jog or a walk, and especially during the summers, I like to take my bike out and go for a long bike ride. In places like downtown Toronto, for example, it's you really have to like find a spot, like take your bike to a spot and bike there. There are bike lanes, sure, but how fun it may be to bike in a road full of traffic, I imagine not very much. So and in cities like downtown Toronto, it's where it's so busy and full of traffic. It's not a very convenient thing to find nature very close to you to go on these hikes and walks or bike rides. And Hamilton provides the opportunity for me to do so. Even near my house, if I walk 500 meters out the door, there's a very nice trail that I can go and walk on. I take my dog out for a walk sometimes, and I think I'm really enjoying that aspect of Hamilton, which obviously lacks in downtown Toronto and also any other places I've lived in Ontario yet. My next point actually adds on to the point of affordability, and what kind of houses I could afford in Hamilton, which otherwise I would not have been able to afford to if I chose to live in some other cities. Because during my house hunting phase, I have looked at houses in obviously downtown Toronto and places like Burlington, Oakville, and which was within a good proximity of downtown Toronto, actually, because I work there and I have to travel to downtown Toronto at least twice a week. So within that proximity, I looked at all possible areas to buy a house in, and Hamilton was obviously the most affordable one. But in addition to the affordability, it was also the fact that what kind of house was I getting to buy in Hamilton? Now, I have a dog, and I'd like that dog to have like a good space to roam around. I'd like the dog to have a nice backyard, and also for my own sake, imagining the winter time, and imagine you taking your dog out to do his business, and it's freezing cold outside, and you live in a condo. You have to go all the way down, find a nice pet release area near your condo. If you're lucky, it's very close to your condo. If not, God knows where it may be. And then you have to let your dog do their business and wait for them while they do it in that freezing cold. All these things was like a nightmare to me. So I really wanted like a proper house. Obviously, I didn't expect to buy a mansion or a bungalow, but I was thinking something in terms of a semi-detached or a townhouse, and I was able to afford a townhouse in Hamilton. I would have never in a million years been able to afford a house like this in any other city than Hamilton as of now, as of today. So that was also one of the main reasons that Hamilton was offering me or giving me an opportunity to live in a bigger house with a nice backyard, um, and I could afford it. Hamilton is also a place which is very up and coming. There are many things being built here. There are already lots of colleges here. It's a great city overall, but it's also developing, and it's getting better and better. At least from my point of view, whatever I have seen throughout the years, whenever I visited Hamilton, and now with my experience living here, it's getting better and it's surely developing. So I think it's a good investment to buy a house in Hamilton as well. I'm no expert in the housing market as of now. I'm just trying to get as much knowledge as possible to um, educate you guys further, help you guys further on the housing market in Ontario. But whatever I've researched and read and talked to people about, I think Hamilton is one of the most, the hot area to buy a house in right now. And a lot of young people and millennials are actually moving to Hamilton because obviously of the affordability and also because of the growing and developing nature of the city. This may not apply to everyone, but it's definitely a good reason for people who are looking for affordable housing, but they have just started out and they do not have like a very good mode of transportation, or they do not own a car. What I have noticed in Hamilton after living in other suburban areas and after visiting other suburban areas is that Hamilton actually has good connection of public transport. There's the Hamilton Go, like the Go train is there, of course. There's a Go station. Actually, there are two GO stations in Hamilton. There's one Hamilton GO and there's a West Harbor GO as well. It just depends on where you live and which is the most convenient for you. So there are like, the public transport is actually good, and even the local bus which drives around the city, the connection is really good. So for people who don't have a car but still want to buy a house or move to a place which has a good balance of city and suburban life, like I mentioned, I think Hamilton is a good place in terms of public transportation as well. I think I have rambled enough and talked about Hamilton a lot and tried to explain and try to do my best in explaining and talking to you guys about my solid reasons and my, why I made the decision and why I made the move to Hamilton and actually bought a house here. Obviously, like I already mentioned in the beginning, everyone has different tastes, different lifestyle, different needs. So everything may not work for you what worked for me. I'll say this again, it's just a disclaimer that I'm giving. So it's completely up to you where you want to live. But I think since I used to get this question a lot from my colleagues and friends and my family members who live in Canada as well, I thought it'll be a good way to talk about this and make a video and answer questions for those people who are actually thinking of moving to Hamilton or buying a house here. So I hope I helped. And with that, we come to the end of this week's video. Thank you so much for sticking till the end. If you liked my rambling and if you liked this video, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel. We are always open to feedback or any questions, so please do not forget to leave your comments as well. I will be back next week with more rambling and more housing content. Till then, stay tuned to Homebound Canada.